Good morning, Orange County. How's everybody doing in beautiful California, sunny California? I am actually your host today. I am a staff member at Rayse, but I'm also a licensed broker and a certified instructor, but in the state of Georgia, not in California. I visit my brother in California, and boy, let me tell you, beautiful, beautiful area there, but a beautiful state. Very large, but want to make sure you all know that we have Joey from CRMLS in the chat for us. Q&A is open and chat is open. We are totally happy with either, whichever you like. There will be a recording at the end of the session that will be sent to you all. Um, if you have a bot, I had yesterday, I taught a class and somebody had a bot show up in the class, but they didn't show. We know that, so we didn't send the recording to them. So the whole idea is that you do sit in on the session and hopefully you enjoy and pick up what you need to pick up. So, again, my name is Yvonne Thomas. I'd love to know where you guys are located. So, if you can put that in the chat, let us know where you are. Let us know if you have any questions as we go through this. I am going to go through it pretty quickly, but in the end, I'm going to give you some resources so that you can attend some very in-depth training, which is going to be very different than what this is. This is more an introduction and really give you a good overview of what Rayse can do. And some people can walk away from the session and start using it right away because all you need to do is use your phone. And some people are like, yeah, I really want to get the nitty gritty before I share this with a client, which I totally get. And then you want to sign up for some of the CRMLS classes. So, all right, without further ado, again, questions, Q&A, you can put all that in the chat or in the Q&A. And I see that Marty is in Huntington Beach. Nice. Okay, I've been there once. So we're going to get started. So what is Rayse and what is Rayse all about? So Rayse is provided to you compliments of your CRMLS account. So you as users of CRMLS have access to Rayse. And Rayse is actually a product that is like nothing else out there in the market. We are not a CRM, which is the spray and pray, right? The put all the people in there and try and get them to sign up with you. And the other is a transaction management system, which we normally work with. And that's not what this is either. This is something completely different. So let's go ahead and start talking about one of the things that I love to ask at the beginning of the class is, have you ever provided a full overview of everything that you do for your clients to a future prospect? Have you ever said, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Future Buyer, this is what I do for my clients. Now, I know you probably do a high level that you give them, but you don't really give them everything. Like, we don't always talk about how much time we put into getting properties ready to go out on showings and to show properties and get all the showings lined up and get the logistics lined up and talk to the listing agent and get the showings scheduled and doing all the things. And if you're using showing time, then you're putting it in showing time and all that stuff. So we don't really, at the end of the day, talk about the nitty gritty. And so that leads us to a little bit of an issue. You see, what happens is the consumer out there, they actually think that we only spend somewhere between 15 to 20 hours working on their home buying or home selling journey. 15 to 20 hours, I can tell you, I have spent that much time just filling flyer boxes. So, I mean, at the core of the matter, we are kind of at fault, but also, it's being perpetuated in ways that we didn't really want it to be perpetuated, such as, for example, the DOJ saying we don't work hard enough for the money we make. I mean, I've seen that article. I'm sure you have too. And so there's a lot of different things out there about, what we do and how we do it and whether we're worth it or not. And we have to understand that there's a big disconnect that's happening. Now, in the real world as well, when we look at the consumer today, the consumer that's buying or selling a house today is not at all like the consumer that was buying or selling a house, let's say even 10 years ago, like pre-COVID. Very different consumer. I mean, hey, with AI in the world today, I mean, I don't know about you, but I even check with AI before I order a pizza. So, what we do and what we want are not at all what we used to do and what we used to want, right? We want information. We want transparency. We want everything. We want to see everything that's going on when we're spending money. And that's very true in today's world. As a matter of fact, I have an app on my phone that helps me understand what money I'm spending on things that I'm using, but whether or not I'm using them is another alert to me. And so then it'll turn things off or turn things on, and it tells me where I am with with my spending, because I also want to see what I'm spending money on, right? And so as a consumer in today's world, if you order a $30 pizza, you are going to get that thing delivered to your door, but it is going to go through a whole series of messages letting you know who put the pizza together, who put it in the oven, who put it in the box, when did it get in the car, where is it driving, who's driving the car, what's their background, how many stars do they have, so all of that information is available to us now, except with the home buying experience and the home selling experience. We don't really offer that. Well, you have that now through your CRMLS account. So you now have free access to something that is going to give you this. Okay. And this is going to actually help you uh, really communicate with your clients. So I see Marty asked a question, wondering if a listing presentation can show them this program and how they will communicate with. Absolutely. We even have a presentation in the system for you, and I'll show that to you in just a minute. But yes, you know what? The closing report, taking that with you to the next client presentation that you do, when you have a closing report from another client and you bring that with you. So just let me go ahead and present. And as all these pieces come together, Marty, I bet you're going to go, wow, yeah, I can totally use this. Or at least I hope so. So, if an agent could clearly show, we asked the consumers this, we did a survey, we said, if they could clearly show what they did from start to finish on your home, right? In the home buying or home selling process, would you be more likely to choose an agent like that? And yes, this feeds right into what Marty's question was. I mean, if I'm going to go on a buyer or seller presentation, how do I show that I'm different? How do I show? Because this is something that's really going to set you apart, right? Because 64% said yes, they would totally choose that agent if they could show that they do that. 25% said maybe, and 11% said no. That's a very small number of people that don't care, right? So think about that. Now, I have another caveat that somehow didn't show up here, but actually, oh no, this is pay more. Sorry. They would choose you, choosing you was here. I'm so sorry. And paying you was here. I got caught off guard by the question that was asked, but paying you more. So here's the thing. Would you be willing to collect more? And here's the reality. We have three pivotal points when we have to talk about our commission, and we get questioned about our commission or our, shall we say, fee for service. I think we all don't like the word commission, but fee for service, right? So when we're talking about our compensation, at the time of signing the agency agreement is when we really have to talk about it. Oftentimes it comes up again, mostly when we are under contract, when we go under contract, because they get worried about, oh, okay, this is what we're looking at. And then when we go to closing. So those are three pivotal points. Now, if all along the way I've shown my value to my client every step of the way, they're not going to be concerned about it. I promise you, there's going to be a very different experience. So this is Rayse 2.0. This is going to be something that is going to help you. You're going to have that agent value platform. So this is not a CRM. It's not a transaction management system. It is a way for you to show your client all the work you're doing, even when you're not face to face with them. Now, this answered the question that Marty had, which is the Rayse interactive presentation. So I actually have one pulled up here real quick. So we have three tools that are going to help you really showcase that you are Rayse empowered and that you are different. Okay. And one of them is the buyer and seller presentation. So this is very different than anything else you've ever seen. It's very easy to build. We have a full training platform that shows you how to build this. And I know that CRMLS has classes that will teach you how to do this. But when you actually create it, you can always grab the URL at the top, save that to your email, or put it somewhere where you can grab it again when you're in front of that client and then do the presentation. Presentation is easy. It's 5 cards, talks about all the nitty-gritty things that we do, but Each card has different layers. So it's very interactive and it allows you to start where you want to start and kind of move around as you please. So there's three layers under each of these. I like to call it an onion. Most people say that's not a very pretty thing to say, but I think it's layered like an onion. So I'm going to say it's an onion. So we are going to click on the first card. And when we click on that first card, it's going to say, hey, I'm your real estate professional of choice because I just want you to know 5% of the process is spent on finding the home. There's so much more that goes into this. Like you're going to need to have an expert at your side every step of the way. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be your expert because I buy and sell real estate at least 3 to 4 times a month. And that means that I go through the process and I understand the pitfalls and I know what to look out for and how to take care of you in this entire process. That said, there are a couple things in our lives where we always want to have an expert, right? Skydiving. I would never jump out of a plane without being tethered to somebody unless I've done it a couple times before, of course, but I haven't. So I would never do that without an expert. Brain surgery, absolutely not either. And then buying a house. Why? Because nothing survives the closing. And the reality is that in today's world, with everybody looking on TikTok or, YouTube or wherever and finding all these do-it-yourself repair ideas, there's all kinds of questions you need to ask when you're buying a house, right? So, and it's a test account that I'm doing this for. That's why it says test. But when you have a client, it'll say their name. So I'll say, Mary, you don't know what you don't know, right? And there's a million questions that you're going to ask, and those questions are perfectly normal. But if you don't ask the right questions, I'll make sure I do. Like, for example, one of the questions you might want to ask if you're looking at some acreage and there's some tire tracks going off to the back, like, where is that going? And what is that for? Is there an undisclosed easement? Do we need to know about this, right? So I'm going to be the one that's going to make sure that all the right questions are answered because when we go to closing, I want you to know that your advocate in action has taken care of everything. I'm here to make sure that we take care of everything. We simplify things, and I'm here to give you those smart market insights that I have. Now, the last time I helped somebody buy a house in this market, and this market is not like the market every single day. It changes every time. So I want to give everybody an understanding of what today's market looks like. And this is the most recent success story. Now, of course, we started working together more than 100 days ago because we closed on this last month. But if we look at it, 100 days, 20 homes toured, 2 offers made, 5 full hearts shared, 1 fulfilled dream. Now, that does mean it's going to give you an idea how much work and how much time and commitment is going to go into this process. So I wanted to give this to you. And of course, knowing that a $400,000 house is only going to get you 1,700 square foot here in this market. Okay. If we want to go higher, more, we're going to have to go higher in price. Now, there are some things that happen, and this is where I can humane myself or make myself more people friendly and talk about some of the things I've ever encountered where maybe there were bees in the attic and we had to hire an extinguisher to come in and get rid of the bees. And we had to do that right before closing. So we had money escrowed at closing. So we made sure that the bees were completely gone and, all that kind of stuff. We've run into things, right? You've run into things. I'm sure you have. Cracks in the foundation, chimney catching fire. I mean, all kinds of stuff that we run into, right? So these are the things where you talk about how you still had a pleasant outcome. Everything turned out great because you have a Rolodex, you've got a broker, you've got resources, tools. You do this all the time. You are their hero, right? That's what you're trying to say here. Down at the bottom of each and every one of these cores from those 5 slides, you're going to see the next button, which takes you to the next deep dive or the get started. It's a really cool process. This is so neat. And one of the coolest things is that you can actually go through and you can show them every step of the way what they're going to encounter. So this says that there's 341 areas of my professional expertise that are going to get us to an accepted offer, but I'm going to keep it all nicely organized, right? So this is to Marty's question. This is how I can talk about it. I can show that every agent does a bunch of stuff. I do all the stuff. Plus I show you the stuff that's going on, right? I keep you informed. So you not only know where you've been, but where you're going and what's ahead of us and where we are today, right? So my value, we're going to talk about the home requirements. We're going to talk about the client commitment contract. We're going to talk about financing options. We're going to talk about home search setup. That's all the things we do in the consultation. And then you can go through and do that with every single one of these steps. So I'm not going to do the whole presentation for you, but I wanted to give you an idea that we have a beautiful presentation. This really does work for you. We have a complete video that shows you what to say every step of the way, and you make it your own. You're going to eventually just say whatever you need to say, right? Because it is your presentation, it is your client, your relationship. Now, we also have the client portal. That's the next feature. So we have three things we're going to give you. Those three things are the presentation, the client portal, and the closing report. Now, the client portal is, in my opinion, one of the strongest pieces of evidence you can give a client. And what I mean by that is, if I invite the client in to follow along in their journey, they get their own portal. That portal is a web-based system, so they don't have to download an app or do anything like that. They can open it on their phone, open it on a tablet, a laptop, wherever. They get an email or a text message to invite into the system. They go in, they create their own password. It's very custom to them, but it is branded by you. You are the only one that is there, and your brokerage colors and whatever you do to make it yours. Now, I'm going to say this. Think about this for a moment. When a buyer or a seller is thinking about buying or selling, they're in the digital world. They're looking at Zillow and Realtor.com, and all these websites are going out there looking everywhere, right? They're trying to garnish information so that it can make an educated decision if they're ready to buy or sell, right? Because they don't want anybody to convince them yet. They just still are thinking about it. Now, once they then start working with you, they technically fall off a digital cliff. And what I mean is they no longer have that thing that they feel like they control in their hands. And when you give them this client portal, it gives them that. It gives them that insight. Not only that, but you've got your clients walking around with a billboard in the palm of their hand, right? So I mean, I'm just saying, it's a cool thing. Now, the next thing is that closing report. Now, this is going to be like an attorney's invoice. Basically, what it's going to do is it's going to say, look, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this is great to be at the closing table, but let me go ahead and give you all of the information and things that we have done to get where we are today. This is what we did. We worked 47 days. We did this, this, this. So rather than kind of go over one on the screen, let me just show one to you that I just actually created. So this is everything ending deserves a spotlight, right? So we actually sold the home. Okay. And look what we've done. We've got 13 showings, 4 offers, 1 home sold. And then it goes in the high level overview and it says, we drove 130 miles, 74.5 hours, 184 outcomes completed, 23 milestones, 4 offers, 13 showings, 185 days. And we ended up getting full asking price. Look at that. So then it's going to go from all the data. Everything is going to be in here. It's such a beautiful report. And then it itemizes everything you did. Like we analyzed local comps to set listing price, and it gives explanations. And yes, you can actually go in and change some of the wording. If you don't like the wording, you can go in and change it. So you can go in and make any change. When you change it, you can undo and put it back. So all of this is here for you. And this is all created by simply talking into your phone, which I'm going to get to shortly. But I wanted to show you, now you can edit the data too. The data that you edit, by the way, is going to be that high level overview stuff that you see up here. So for example, let's just say that we don't want to say that we had 4 offers. So I hit edit data and I go to the offers received right here, check the box, and it moves away. Okay, so it's very easy to go in and decide what you want to do in some of the data as well. All right, getting through this, we have done now. We've talked about the buyer and seller presentation. We've talked about the client portal, and now we've talked about the closing report. The closing report, I think, is the cherry on the cake. It really is. Now, how do you get into Rayse, and how is Rayse something that you have access to? Well, first and foremost, you can log in to your CRMLS. Just log in. When you log in, you're actually going to go to a page that has all of the tools and resources that you guys use. So for example, Showing Time, Kubicasa, some of the other resources that are there. And you'll see a tile in there that is called Rayse. When you click on that, and you can actually asterisk or star it so you make it a favorite, right? So that you can always find it easily. It logs you right into Rayse because you're already logged into CRMLS. We have what we call single sign-on. So that's the easy part for you guys, okay? Now, I keep saying talking. It's as easy as updating is as easy as talking in your phone, and that is really what it is. Okay. And we have something called the Rayse Assistant. I'm going to open up my Rayse Assistant real quick on my screen here so you can see it. Um, oh, no, don't want to do that. Oh no, my puppy dog on the screen. So, um, and I want to make it bigger for you guys. That's what I want to do. This is my mobile phone, as you clearly saw. This is the Rayse Assistant. If you download the Rayse Assistant, you will have access to this fabulous tool on your mobile device. And I'm going to show you how this works today very quickly. But I wanted to show you the next slide that I'm going to take you on is going to show you how to put this on your phone. Okay. So you're going to go to the Google Play Store, and I'm having a thunderstorm, so I hope I don't lose my power or my internet. We'll see. Let me make sure my internet is turned on here. I have a hotspot. Okay. So, um, if you go ahead and go to Google Play Store or Apple Store, you can download the application. It's called Rayse Assistant. When you have it downloaded, you have to remember that you are a complimentary account through CRMLS, right? This is included with your association with CRMLS. So make sure that when you go and you log in, that you log in with MLS. If you go here, you may end up finding yourself in a loophole that's not going to go anywhere. So go right here and you sign in with the MLS. And now when you do sign in with the MLS, you want to use the email address. We don't use your login ID. I know you have a public ID and a password to log into CRMLS, but we don't use your ID. We use your email address. And so whatever email address is related to your CRMLS, that's what you're going to use, and you're going to be able to log in. Super easy. Just click on the sign in with MLS right here. Okay. Now this is not a work along, so I am going to keep on going, but keep in mind, you're also going to get a recording, and we will be offering additional training for you at the conclusion. So Ray. I love Ray. Ray is my best friend. Ray is my assistant. I don't know if Ray is a he, she, or an it, but Ray is my AI assistant. And Ray is going to change the way that you are able to work with your clients and be able to keep them updated and informed. And what I mean by that is you're just going to talk to your phone. You're going to say, hey, Ray, I just finished a meeting with Smith family. They're looking at a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath in the Castlewick subdivision, right? This is how easy it is. And I'm going to say this, when you are working like this, when you step away from your desk, you walk away to the next showing and you want to update the showing as you're going from one to the next. It's going to be so easy, and your clients are going to have real-time updates. So how does that work? Well, there's a lot of things that we have that will help you make this come true. So number one, the Rayse Assistant, that mobile application has location services attached to it. So when you go to a house, it's actually going to track which houses you visit, whether they're listed or not. Because remember, your journey with your client starts when you first meet with them. Well, if it's a listing, you don't have it on the market until you've gone there like 5 to 10 times to get pictures, get everything looking good, getting everything right. I mean, there's a lot going on before you even put the house in the MLS. So keep in mind that as we start working with our clients, we want those location services to work for us because it's going to capture all the houses we stop at. Now, you can delete the houses if they don't apply, and I'll show you that in a minute as well. We also have an integration with your calendar. So if you use your calendar, like a Google Calendar, and you load all your showing time stuff in there, you load all your transaction management system stuff in there, your CRM stuff in there, your everything, all the events and dates and things that are going on when you're doing a Facebook campaign to sell a house, all those things you can plug that all into a calendar. And guess what? Your calendar now talks to Ray and talks to your client journeys as well. So all of this stuff is like working in the background. Your assistant, right? So all of these things work and come together. Plus Ray understands English and you can just speak to it and it'll actually do all the updates. Okay. So this is kind of what happens. You're out and about, you're walking around, you're updating as you go, and your clients are seeing those real-time updates, and they really do think you have an assistant working in the background. That is how easy it is. So we have a young lady who's up in Northern California and she loves using Rayse. And she wrote us this big manifesto email that I absolutely love. I love Annalise. She's so cool. And she's one of my favorite because she tries everything out. She tries to break it, which I love. And she says she loves this tool. She says everything she's doing, it's just so helpful and it's so easy to use. And one of the things I love that she said in her email that we didn't put here is that she said that she actually fired her assistant. She had one of those online assistants that was doing some behind the scenes work for her, and she fired them because she said, "Yeah, I got raised now, so it's fine." So, anyway, so welcome to Agent 2.0. That's what this is. This is going to be a way for you to actually showcase what you do all the time. So, I'm going to go ahead and open up my Rayse account. I am in Rayse, and Rayse is beautiful, easy, super, super um, intuitive, I guess I should say. But it does seem a little overwhelming at first because let's face it, this is not anything you've ever had before. You've been using CRMs or you've been using, transaction management systems, but this is something completely different. Now, I will say, as soon as you get this set up, it's as easy as just talking into your phone. So, how does it work? I'm going to actually show you a journey real quick. So, let me go ahead. I'm going to open up my journeys right here. I'm going to hit Open Journey. Okay. Now, I'm going to go ahead and create a journey. And I happen to have a client, an existing client that I already put in the system. Her name is Yvette. And so I'm going to say Yvette Sloan there. Now I can also add a new client. If I add a new client, all I have to do is first name, last name, email address, and phone number. That's it. That's all it is. So now I go ahead and say Yvette is here and I'm starting a journey. I met her at an open house this past weekend on the 14th. Okay, so I'm going to say that's the first day I started working with her. It was on the 14th when we had a meaningful conversation where we said, you know what? I think we should get together and start looking at houses. Absolutely. I think that's a good idea, right? So I'm going to hit confirm. So that's what happened on June 14th. And then what type of journey is this? I'm going to say it is a buy journey because she's looking to buy a house. I could also say sell journey. If I say sell journey, it will add that it wants to know what house you're selling, just so you are aware. So you do need to know what house you're selling, or at least have an address that you can plug in there and then change it later. So when I hit buy right here, I can then choose a template. Now, a template is the actual, Cub Scout pathway, the steps, my recipe to get A to B. Oops, sorry. We just had a really loud thunder crack. I'm so sorry. That scared me. So to go from A to B, all the steps are from the meeting to closing. We have all these steps that we have to go through. And when we go through these steps, those are called outcomes. So we've taken a bite off. That is the journey template. Now, the journey template can be customized. So if I pull this down, you're going to see I actually have a cash buyer template, right? Or I'm going to use the one that already comes standard with Rayse, which is the Rayse default. And then I'm going to say it's Yvette Sloan's journey. That's great. Let's hit create journey. So there we go. So now Yvette is in a journey. Okay. This is what a journey looks like. And I know you're going to go, oh, but no, it's really not that hard. Now, this is how easy it is. I'm going to grab my phone. Okay. And it now knows that I have Yvette's journey here. So I can go in and say Yvette Sloan's journey right here. So I just clicked on, oops, I just clicked on my phone. I went here to select a journey, which is my Ray updates. I hit select a journey. And then I actually said Yvette Sloan. So I chose Yvette Sloan. And now all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my phone and I'm going to talk into it. Just had a 15-minute phone call with Yvette, and she's going to be heading to the office tomorrow to do a buyer presentation. I did discuss financing options with her. Oh, I'm so sorry. Of course, I still have that in a different language. I'm sorry, I speak multiple languages. Going back to this again. Just had a 15-minute phone call with Yvette. We're going to schedule our home buyer presentation tomorrow, but she has already spoken with the lender and has started the loan application process. So there we go. So all I did was talking to my phone. That's it. That's all I did. And Ray is thinking about it because Ray has to think, what are we going to do with this information? And it was a 15-minute phone call. So a couple of things here. Ray is focused on real estate work for this journey. So the vet, oh, the vet, did it say vet? Okay. So lovely. Phone call, 15 minutes. And then propose outcomes, finance pre-approval, and buyer presentation scheduled. So I'm going to hit save on this because those are two things that we got accomplished during this call. Now, when I hit save on this, okay, and I refresh my screen, all right, it's actually going to go ahead and she does talk back. I just want you to know Ray is very, very picky. So it did check off. It added a buyer presentation scheduled here. This was not here before. It added one. Okay, and then down here it said financing approval process started. Look at that. Now, there are some things you can do manually, but I just want to show a couple things to you. One of the other things said it was a 15-minute phone call, right? So when I go to activities, it's going to say that we had a 15-minute phone call. If I click on this, it's going to show me these are the outcomes it checked off, and this is what we ended up doing. It is very, very smart. It is very, very smart. So going back to my journeys, Yvette Sloan's journey was very easy. Now, I didn't talk about how a journey's put together. I didn't do any of that yet. So let me do that first before we start doing anything else. So I want to talk to you very quickly about the difference between outcomes and activities. I think you've already got it because I kind of showed it to you, right? Activities are phone calls, desk work, emails, all the stuff you do behind the scenes, right? Any meetings you have, the drive time, everything that you do is going to be included here. Let me manually add one just to show you how it works. Manual activity right here, the date, let's say it was Monday that she came in for the meeting, confirm, and the miles driven was 15 miles, and she spent, or I spent maybe 30 minutes driving. It was me, and the meeting took 60 minutes. Okay, and there we go. And so I've added an activity. I could have added notes, I could have done anything, but that's how easy adding an activity is. All right, outcomes, again, just checking the boxes. But we don't want to have to do it manually. We don't want to have to do it manually. We can even do it in one global shot. We can go ahead and say, and I can use Ray here too. So inside my desktop, I can also use Ray. I can click here and I can say, you know, we just had the full consultation meeting with Yvette, and we have gotten everything signed under the buyer agency agreement. All of those outcomes can be checked off. So then it's going to say, okay, and it's maybe going to ask me how much time with this meeting, or maybe it's going to ask me something else, or maybe it's going to say, okay, I have everything I need. Typically, it says it's got everything I need. All right, so right here is activities. It says there was a 60 minutes. I'm going to change that to 120 minutes. I can do that. Okay, see how easy that is? And then I have outcomes, and it shows me all the outcomes. It shows me everything that it's checked off. So I'm going to hit save right here. And then when I go back to Yvette Sloan's journey, okay, it actually is going to show me and refresh. It's going to show me that the client commitment contract has all been completed. See how easy that was? It's super easy to do. It makes it very easy to navigate this whole process. So I want to talk very quickly about these buttons here, but before I do that, let me go to another journey that's already in flight. So I'm going to go back to Gail Boyce's journey. She's a buyer. She has a couple of properties that she's currently looking at, right? I'll show you in a minute how those properties get there. We've done the entire consultation portion, tours and offers. That's what we're doing now. And until we have a house in contract, we can't really work on contract and closing. That you can only do in the real world as well until you have a contract. So right now I've got these 4 houses here, 5. And what I want to do is I want to show you these buttons up above. So I already talked about Ray. That's where you can do a quick update. You talk to your computer, just make it happen. This is going to show you your journey metrics. It's going to show how many miles you've worked, how many hours you've driven, or how many miles you've driven, how many hours you've worked, et cetera, right? So this shows you all the high level overview. This button here, now Rayse was developed by real estate professionals. So this is going to show you how Rayse is something that you want to use, because most agents get software and they don't know what their client sees. They don't know what the client sees on the other end. Now, in this case, you get to see 100% what the client sees. You get to see this is the client portal. This is it. This is what they see. Okay, it said, hey, Gail, it's day 32 of your journey together. Now, if Gail has another person in the journey, we can add that person. I'll show you in just a minute how that works. And then it'll say, hey, John, or hey, Fred, or whatever Gail's spouse's name is, right? Because they're going to log in with their own email address. Right here, we have 5 homes we're evaluating. These are the homes we're evaluating. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, and then down here we have, if we have them, rejected homes, and then it's going to show how many activities, outcomes, tours, offers. Now it shows activities, but it's not going to show that we had 5 meetings and 14 emails. It's not showing that. It's going to show just the total number of activities. The miles and the hours don't show until you get to the closing report. So it's very important to understand that all the notes and all the things you've added here, like if you added some notes, client loved the property. Okay, that's a good note to have, right? But if you wrote something there that was not very happy, the reality is that you may end up, sharing something that you don't want to share. And so none of the notes that you put in the system are visible to the client at this point. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now, when we're on that client portal, we also saw on the client portal that these homes are here, but what more do you see than just the homes? Well, let's look at this. This home here, we can click on it, and it doesn't look like we've toured this home yet. We haven't done anything to this home. I just added it. But what you do see is these little dots. That means that you actually can look at all of these photos. Look at that. So you can really tour the home. And remember when I was talking about that digital cliff? This is what I'm talking about. They don't want to fall off that digital cliff. They want to go back and look at all the stuff all the time. And so right here, we're going to see all that. And you've got a card here. And then here, we're going to see what we've done so far. So we've already completed all of these things in consultation. So we can look at this in more detail. Okay, every single piece is all visible in more detail. Now, down here, we also had a logo for my company, my broker's logo. We also had the website link that goes to my personal agent website. And then I'm fluent in Dutch and German. You can put whatever you want there, and I'll show you where that goes shortly. Right here is a contact card, and right here is a contact card. Both contact cards go to the same place. They go to this page where you have your beautiful mugshot, same one you saw in my bio presentation. You're going to see my contact information. You're going to see my bio. Okay. You're going to see any social media links that I decide to share with you. All of my little reviews that I've put in here. Now, you don't want a whole bunch of them in here. Keep it simple, keep it short. You don't have a lot of real estate. Keep it simple and short. Okay. And then again, you're at the bottom of the page again. So this is a beautiful piece that your client holds in the palm of their hand at all times, and they'll be able to go through anything that they're going through with you. Now, if they have multiple journeys, they can click here and they'll be able to go to their journeys and they'll be able to toggle between the sell side and the buy side journey. Not a problem. Okay. So that is that button right here. So we had Ray, we had our metrics, we have the client portal, and now we have the invite button. Now it has an orange button next to it. That means that the client hasn't been invited yet. But when I click on it, it allows me to either SMS or actually, and let me add a phone number to John Nash. There we go. It allows me to SMS or it allows me to email, or both, obviously. And when I hit invite client, that person will get a text message and an email. Okay, that's very, very simple. Okay, now you can add people, by the way. When you go down here, you can add another client and you can go down and you first name, last name, email address, phone number. And that's as easy as it gets. It doesn't get any easier than that. Right here, this button, this is for those of you who work in a team or are working a husband-wife, or you've got business partners, or maybe you have a buyer's agent or a listing agent or whatever it is that you have. You actually can go in and you can say, you know what? Ancio Robinson is going to be working with me on this one. I'm going to hit add user, and that gives Ancio an opportunity to actually work in my journey. Now, I can change his permissions. I could say, you know what? I don't want Ancio inviting the client or closing the journey. There we go. That's it. That's all I want him to do. Okay. And that means he can go out, drive the client around, use location services, do all that stuff. He can do all that. Now, I want to quickly get to showing how tours and offers and how these houses got here, because that is a huge part about what we want to learn, right? Because I've had that buyer that looked at 5,000 houses, right? So I want to make sure that they don't forget, because remember they probably only remember 3 houses at any given time. So at this point, if you start showing them lots and lots of houses, they're never going to forget because you're putting it in the portal, right? So the first thing I want to show you is you can manually add a property. I've manually added these properties. That's why all of the outcomes are underneath the properties. The home evaluation process, as well as the offer submission process, are all underneath the individual properties. Okay. But because I added them manually, nothing is there at this point. They're just sitting there. But they're pretty. They look pretty in the client portal, right? So adding a property manually, you can add it 2 ways. You can either search by MLS and zip code or search by the street address. And sometimes you have one of those street addresses that is really, really hard. And so then it's probably easier to go ahead and put in the actual zip code and the MLS number. But I'm going to go ahead and grab this one. Okay, this happens to be in your market. Okay, and it is a very expensive house. In my world, it's very expensive. I'm going to hit save. And so now we've actually added a home. See how quick that is and how easy? There it is. Okay. Now, that's one way to add a home. That's manually. That's add the property right here. Now we are looking at it in the card version. Okay. You can also look at it in the table version. The table version is going to show you it in a linear process, right? In a stacked process, so to speak. The cards, you actually can do a little bit more. You can actually drag this one over here and say, we're going to reject that one. So if you have it in card view, you can do a little bit more. Table view gives you a little bit of a different view of it. Okay. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to show you as well how to add a property through your location services. So when you're on your home page, okay, you're going to see here that I have 28 homes that I looked at over the last couple days. I haven't assigned them yet. This is what I've done this week already, right? And I'm going to assign these. So now I'm going to assign these and I'm going to say, let's go ahead and get this one. Let me add this one. I'm hitting the plus symbol and I'm going to add it to Gail Boyce's journey. There we go. And I'm going to hit next. And yep, it was a showing. Yeah, we didn't just show up at the house and they didn't like it. Well, let's say no, they didn't like it. It was the location. They didn't like the location. And we're going to say that we got additional information, contact the agent, we attended the home tour, we scheduled the home tour, we gathered data on the home. So all those things we did. I'm going to hit next. And now it should, if it's all correct, when we now go back to the journey. Let's go back to the journey here. Let's go to Gail Boyce's journey. We will now see that that house has been moved over this way. And we will also see that underneath the outcomes, it has checked off all those boxes because we did it already. Now let's do the same for a home that we maybe toured on our mobile device. Okay. So, and this I like because I'm one of those people that I'm going to take a buyer out and I'm going to show them properties as we're going from one property to the next, I'm going to be in my car updating the showing. That's what I'm going to do because that way they see it in real time. By the time we get to the next house, it's already been, rejected because I don't want them considering it again. Okay. We want to get to one house they're going to buy or two. That would be nice. So right here is appointments. I'm going to click on assign. And when I click on assign, it's going to give me the opportunity to choose other houses, right? So let me go ahead and grab one. So here's one in California. I'll grab this one. It's going to say, okay, select the journey. So I'm going to select Gail Boyce's journey. I'm going to go ahead and hit next. And it says, yes, this was a showing. Yeah, she actually did like this one. And we attended the home tour. We got everything set up. We did all that. We gathered data on the home. There we go. And now we hit next and it's going to go ahead and move it. Now I clicked on the property to make that happen, right? But let me show you something else. Okay. You also can swipe. Yes, you can Tinder now. You can Tinder your Rayse. Okay, don't ask why I know how Tinder works. But if you swipe it left, obviously that's a discard, and it's going to say, no, this was my chiropractor's house, so I'm going to delete this one from the queue. Notice how it also had another thing there when you deleted it. It said delete forever. Now, when you delete forever, it goes to a list of homes that will never be tracked again, which is totally fine because maybe you go there all the time, right? And you don't want to track ever again. But I can also right swipe it and then go ahead and click yes, select the journey, say Yvette Sloan's journey. Oh, no, not Yvette. We were doing Gail. And we're going to say next, and then no, they didn't like it. Next, and there we go. So that is how easy it is. So let me go ahead and refresh my screen here so I can show it to you. And you will now see that these homes have been added. And I don't see the no. I probably didn't check no. I don't remember what oh, it wasn't a showing. I'm sorry, I said it wasn't a showing. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hit activities. And what I want to show you is that we actually have these things that show up. See, they're going to show up. So we actually went to this home. The meeting lasted 92 minutes. Now, normally you're going to have drive time here, right? But I'm doing this through an app that I load these properties into my system. I'm actually not driving around in California, so it doesn't give me that, but it would normally give you that information. And what it does is obviously it adds up to everything that you do. So when you add them manually, right? When you add homes manually, you still have to manually go in and update all this. Then you still have to manually go in and update the activities. If you use your Rayse assistant and you use the location services and you pull it in through automations, it loads automatically that way. So it's a beautiful thing to have it loaded that way because then it's going to add the activities and put everything in there that you want to have in there. Now, if you want to do it manually, that's fine. It's just checking a bunch of boxes, right? That's all it is, checking the boxes. And when you get down to making the offer, it gives you a chance to go all the way into offer, and then you can put the house under contract. And it's going to say what is the offer price. Well, I'm teaching a class. So I'm going to pretend like I'm the queen of negotiations here and say we got it $298,000 less than asking price. So there we go. And now you open up contract and closing. So this allows you to open up contract and closing, and you can work your way through all of the check boxes. And obviously, I would recommend doing that with your phone and updating things as you go. So that's the complete full journey. I want to show you one other thing that I didn't show you because I've been showing you the buy side. Let me show you the sell side here. I actually have Wendy Weikel's journey and she's almost closed, like she's about ready to close. But what I want to show you is there's two more buttons up here. Remember when we created the listing journey, we had to add the address. So right here is where you add the house details. You add an address, okay? And right here is where you go ahead and you add your offers and showings. Now, this right now is still manual, but that's going to be an automated process. So I want you to be aware that you do have to add these things manually, and it is going to be automated. So that's the only difference between buy and sell side. So we talked about through all of this, we talked about a whole bunch of things. There are two more things I want to show you. One is, okay, we did talk about Ray. We talked about our journeys. We talked about appointments. We talked about the calendar. By the way, here is a little, I'm going to talk about the calendar. I'm sorry. Right here is a little navigation menu. That's also where presentations are. And you actually can go into the Learning Center and get a whole bunch of information about the presentations in there, or attend one of the trainings. I'm going to hit open calendar first right here, and I'm going to show you when you integrate a calendar. So right now you can only do Google and 365. We are getting ready to add Apple, but they're a little more stringent about what they will and won't allow, etc. So we're trying to work through all that, but as soon as we get it, we will have it. In the meantime, you can sync it with one of these two calendars and then go ahead and connect it. When you connect the calendar, it's very easy. Wendy Weichel had a final walkthrough. Okay, let's go ahead and log that event because it happened. And I'm going to select a journey. I'm going to say that was Wendy Weichel. Okay, and that was the final walkthrough that we did. And we're going to get all that information because we sold our house and I do a final walkthrough before the buyer does, just to make sure. It was 60 minutes. That's about right. And final walkthrough appointment. Voila. Okay. Here, sign removal. Okay. So I'm going to log that as well. So that's another thing. So I select a journey. I say again, Wendy Weichel. It goes in and it puts all this stuff in here. Now, as it adds these things, it marks them as done in the system, if that makes sense. It marks them as done in the system. So it's going to add an outcome and it's going to add the activity and it marks them as done. So, and what I mean by that is it is now turned green. Okay. So whenever you have added it to the journey already, it is already showing as added. And when you click on it, you'll actually be able to view the chat and see what was done and what was accomplished. You can always go back and take a look at it. So that's how calendar works. And it's a beautiful thing if you integrate all your systems into the calendar, because then it's a quick click. You saw how easy it was. It just quickly clicks it in there and it adds it to the journey. And now Gail Boyce has all that stuff in her journey. Or Wendy Weichel, sorry, it was Wendy Weichel. So we actually could go into activities and we can actually see a removed sale sign walkthrough. See those things quickly added. So easy, like butter. Okay. So I'm going to go back here to the home screen and I want to talk very quickly about one other thing, and that is here. That is how you set up your profile. So when you go in and you set your profile up, all you're going to do is click on your profile image, right? Now you don't have an image here right now, so you'll have this big round circle. So you just click on that. That's going to allow you to add your photo. They have two photo places, one, two right here, personal information and public information. The personal information is going to show on that bottom thing on the client portal. Remember, we have two areas where you can go to your actual agent profile in there, and the bottom one is this picture. This is also the picture that shows here in the agent dashboard. Now, you can choose a different picture, or you can choose to do what I did and just take your AI photos and load it in there. So whatever you want to do. But down here is where you make sure. So I am known and on my license as Thomas Brooks. Um, don't ask. And I have my mobile phone number, my work phone number, my email address, my time zone because I want my time stamping to be correct. And then I actually make sure that I have my addresses in here. Now, what I mean by addresses, so for example, these two were excluded because this is actually my chiropractor in Nevada, and this is my dentist because they work out of their home, and I go to their homes all the time to get these services done. And because it's a residential address, it wants to make sure it tracks that, right? Now, here is a home address and a work address. Now, don't look at these states, okay? Just home address and a work address. And why would I have added those? I can just hit the plus button here and I can choose what I'm going to add, home or work. And then when I start typing it in, it's going to actually say, "Oh, I recognize this address." So you start typing just like you do with addresses. So there you go. You choose which one, you hit save, and you say this is another, or it's personal. This is personal. There we go, and hit save. Now, why? Because when you add home, personal, or office or work, that is, it's going to choose that to be one of the closest addresses that you might leave from when you go look at a property, especially the home and the work address is what they're going to use. So if you get in your car and you start leaving from the office and you go to a showing, it's going to count those miles. You can also just put one in there and it's always just going to count those miles. It doesn't really matter where you started from. We just need to have a starting point. That's all. Okay, that's all it is. Now, public information right here. And by the way, if you don't like what you see, like this one, the personal, we can go ahead and delete it. It'll say, "Oh, we're deleting it." Okay. And this one, the excluded, I can delete it. Bye-bye. And I can delete it because maybe the chiropractor moved and now I'm going somewhere else. So public information. This is where we're going to put our bio. Remember when we had that beautiful little page that had everything on there, right? So this is where you go for the public bio, and it's going to have everything on it. You're going to put your license numbers. I happen to be licensed in 2 states, hopefully three by the end of this month. I'm working on it, working on it. Social media, add a bunch of social media links that you want to share with people. I only do my LinkedIn because I'm a dog and food photographer. Not really. I'm an amateur, but I like taking pictures of my dogs and my food. Right here is where you add those client testimonials. Keep it short and sweet. You see how short they are? I grab the high level piece out of every one of those reviews, put their name there, put that in there, and hit save. Now, why don't we have this automated? Why don't we have this automatically pulling in? Well, because number one, y'all realtors, I'm using a Georgia word, y'all realtors, all y'all use different websites to gather your testimonials. So creating integration systems for 6 to 7 different systems is just impossible. So just go ahead and grab a couple of sentences. You only need 3 to 5 of them in there to make it look good. I think I have 7, so I wouldn't worry too much. Just put a couple in there and it's one and done. When you put them in, you don't have to look at it ever again. Okay. The next thing, you don't have security because you don't have to do a password because you have single sign-on. You have single sign-on. Remember that. You have single sign-on. Never, ever, ever, ever should you have to use a password. Okay. Because you have free access to your MLS service. I shouldn't say free, it's complimentary included. And this is essentially what you get, right? You get everything you're seeing here today, and there's no upsell. This is it. This is how cool it is. Okay. So just want to prepare yourself. You're getting the full kit and caboodle too. All right, so Sunshine Real Estate is the name of my brokerage. So I put my brokerage name in. This is the website address. This is the tagline. You can change it to anything you want. I'm number one in this market, or, hey, choose me because I'm the best, or you're transparent real estate agent, or the one who shares everything. Logo, upload a photo. You can put a square logo in here. If you do not have a square logo or you don't know how to do it, you can always reach out to the help desk. And that's the last thing I'm going to show you, by the way, is where the education center is in the help desk. But bear with me. Down here is a very important thing. I would never ever touch the primary colors. That's my suggestion to you because you're going to mess around with stuff you don't want to mess with. However, These colors you definitely want to do. The primary color is what you saw on my client portal, right? And you also see it when we're in my Rayse Assistant. So when you're in my Rayse Assistant, you'll see my color scheme is that yellow orangish color. So that's what you see here. And when you go to my client portal, you have the same thing. All right. Those colors are very important. And then when we do the buyer and seller presentation, the background was black, so I used my orange color to pop out that card a little bit and make sure it looked like it was really branded to me. Now, this is one of the things that you want to do. You want to make sure you brand your colors because that's going to make it look really good. And of course, obviously, put your broker name in here and put your logo in there. Settings. This is where you can change what emails you receive or don't receive, and then contacts. So all of that is done in that section right here. Okay, that's where you brand everything, you put everything together. Before I take you on a quick tour of the help desk and the academy, I want to show you one other thing. So this is the home page of the Rayse Assistant. You're going to have your AI assistant here. You're going to have your appointments that you can assign through location services. And this is going to show that high-level overview of all the activities we've done this week. So you're going to see these are all the activities. But down here, this is the home page. This is journeys. It's going to take you to your journeys, okay? And then this last one here, because I'm in dark mode. Some people say mine doesn't look like that. That's because I have it in dark mode. And I do that to offset it on my screen. But dark mode can be turned on or off right here. You can also turn your location monitoring on or off. So that decides how much you're going to be tracked, right? Maybe you're going to spend the day going to wine country. Maybe you're going to spend the day going hiking in the mountains and you don't want to be tracked. So you can turn it off. Okay. This is where you can go to help and support, and I'll show you that also on the desktop. Then you can launch the agent portal. Now, this is important. Why? Because I want to show you, you can do everything on your desktop. You can do right here on your mobile device because all I'm doing is I'm signing in. Okay. You're going to sign in using your MLS login ID. So that means your email address that is tagged to your MLS, and you're going to go in and say, okay. And so now I can actually everything that I can do in my system, I can do right here. I can go to my journeys. I can invite Yvette in. I can actually click on the invite button right here and I can invite her in. So these are all things I can do mobily. So there's everything you can do mobile. Okay. Right here is the help desk. When you click on help desk, it opens up. Right here is the Rayse Academy. When you go to the Rayse Academy, you can put any questions you want right up here, or you can go down here and look at these high level options that you have. Okay. But even if you wanted to do the presentation and you're like, I want to learn how to do that presentation. Here you go. So here it's gonna go through everything, right? So presenting the seller presentation, presenting the buyer presentation, creating the buyer and seller presentation, inviting the client to the client portal, all this stuff. I mean, you can find everything in here. Okay. And then, of course, you can always chat with us. I'm always available, but I am East Coast time. So if you chat with me after hours, you'll get an AI assistant, but I promise I do get back to you very quickly. I am very involved and very, very committed to your success. Just like CRMLS is very committed to your success. They really want to make sure you have everything you need. So they actually have some additional training dates that we want to make sure you have access to so that you can actually go in and grab some of these training dates. Just grab it with your mobile device real quick. Go ahead and get yourself registered. I know the team at CRMLS is amazing. They love taking care of you guys and helping you and showing you how to succeed with all of the tools they provide. And there really are they're just like Rayse, we really want to shine a light on you. That's really what we're all about. That's where our shared commitment is with CRMLS. We really want to make sure we shine a light on your success. And that's what Rayse is here to do as well. So definitely take advantage of all of this. We just are 2 minutes at time. So just want to make sure if there's any questions that I haven't answered. Jerry, is there anything I should be answering? Is there anything that came up that you couldn't answer? Are we all set?
Mm, We are all set. You gave a fantastic presentation. I think everyone was able to digest it.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. Well, I appreciate everyone's time. Thank you, Joey, for being here. We love having CRMLS at our side all the time. And I'm going to go ahead and end the session, but I will be following up with an email, and Joe will be getting a recording of this event as well. And thanks again for being here. I hope you guys have a fabulous rest of your day.